Welcome to Movie Slice. Quick fun recaps of your favorite movies. Sharp, funny, and to the point. Hit subscribe and get your perfect slice of cinema. The film Outside starts with a car on the road, driven by Francis, with his wife Iris, and their two sons, Joshua and Lucas. They're on their way to his parents' old farm after a virus broke out that turns people into zombies and spreads through biting. They arrive at the farm, and Francis unlocks the house and goes in, looking anxious. The house is a mess, and clearly hasn't been lived in for a while. He goes upstairs to his parents' bedroom, opens the door, and is shocked to find his father dead on the bed with a pistol in his hand. Francis approaches, takes the pistol from his father's hand, and leaves the room crying. He's then surprised to find his mother in the hallway. She's clearly turned into a zombie, crawling toward him in a terrifying scene. Francis is forced to shoot her with the pistol before she attacks him. Afterward, he buries his father's corpse on the farm. Later, while they're in the house, his wife Iris calls him to show him something she found in the basement. Francis goes down with her, and she shows him the generator. Francis looks worried because the basement brings back childhood memories of when his father used to lock him down there. The generator clearly needs gasoline or fuel to work. At dinner, before they eat, Francis starts to say a prayer of thanks. Joshua tries to turn on his radio to catch any signal, but Francis tells him to stop because they're eating. When Iris asks what they'll do next, Francis tells her they have enough food and can survive in the house. But Iris wants to know what's happening outside and feels like they're isolating themselves. Francis insists they need to take care of themselves only because it's dangerous outside. After dinner, Iris tells Francis she's noticed he's not treating Joshua well, reminding him he promised to treat him better. That night, Francis has a terrifying nightmare about his father, wakes up startled, and Iris hugs and comforts him. The next day, Francis reassures Iris that they're safe there. From their conversation, we learn Francis had a tough childhood in that house. His father used to beat him and lock him in the basement. Iris admits she's worried about the house, too. It also comes out that Francis found out late that she'd had an affair with his brother Diego, and now he suspects Joshua isn't his son. Iris tells him they already talked about this and agreed to leave the past behind. That day they drive north because they heard there's a camp up there where everyone's going. While Francis is driving, Joshua mentions he heard Diego talking to their mom on the phone about the northern camp. Francis realizes Iris has been in touch with Diego and starts suspecting they're back together, calling her a liar and a cheater. Iris asks him not to talk like that in front of the kids, insisting it was just a phone call. Francis keeps insulting her until he has to stop the car at a bridge where a fence blocks the road. Iris wants him to get out and move the fence to clear the way, but Francis refuses, thinking it's better to go back to the farm. Iris gets out to move the fence herself, passing by parked cars on the bridge, not knowing if it's dangerous. She reaches the fence and tries to move it, hitting it with something. The noise attracts a zombie, which comes at her. Francis jumps out of the car, orders his wife to get down, pulls out the pistol, shoots the zombie, and kills it. He rushes to check on Iris. Zombies start gathering around the car where Joshua and Lucas are. Francis shoots at one of them to lure them away. Iris manages to get the kids out of the car and escape with them. Francis keeps shooting until he runs out of ammo. He spots a grenade on the dead zombie's suit, grabs it, and circles around the car. The zombies chase after him, climbing over the cars to get to him. He throws the grenade, it explodes among them, and he runs to catch up with his wife and kids. We then see them walking back to the farm on foot after being forced to leave the car on the bridge. 2 weeks later, Francis returns to the same bridge to get the car back, but before driving off, he hesitates and decides not to take it. Later, his family sees him coming back to the house with some supplies. Iris asks about the car, and Francis lies, saying it's broken down and won't start. We realize he did this because he wants to stay at the farm and keep them with him. He goes down to the basement, pours the gasoline he brought into the generator, and turns it on, bringing electricity back to the house. The kids are overjoyed. Francis puts on some music and dances with his children. That night, Joshua and Lucas talk in their room. Lucas says he's noticed their dad treating him badly since the fight with their mom and asks if Joshua knows why they argued. Joshua lies and says he doesn't know, but it's clear he actually knows about the affair because he overheard his parents talking about it. The next morning, Francis talks to Iris, apologizes, and promises to try to be better with her and Joshua from now on. He sees their life at the farm as a second chance to fix things between them. Meanwhile, Joshua is outside, trying to get his radio to pick up any signal. He finally gets one and hears a broadcaster talking about the camp in the north, but the signal cuts out before he can hear the rest. Joshua calls out to his parents and tells them him he heard the broadcaster mention a camp in the north before the signal dropped. Francis gets annoyed and tells him what he heard doesn't mean anything, then leaves them and goes back inside. That night at dinner, Iris says they need to go to the northern camp and asks Francis to fix the car on the bridge and bring it back. Francis gets upset, says there's danger outside, and insists as long as they're in the house they'll be safe. If they leave, they'll die. Lucas says he's scared and doesn't want to die, so Francis hugs him and reassures him. The next day, Francis is working at the farmhouse. Joshu comes to him, saying he's bored and wants to go to the bridge to fix the car and bring it back. Francis gets angry and tells him they would have died on the bridge if it weren't for him, that he saved them, and thanks to him, they're still alive. He challenges him, asking if he can take down one of the zombies. Joshu gets encouraged and replies that he can, so Francis decides to take him outside the farm, gives him the pistol, and tells him to aim at his target, telling him to prove if he's really a man and can shoot. Joshu gets nervous and misses the target, so Francis shows him how to hold the pistol properly. Then Iris comes with her son Lucas because they heard the noise. Francis keeps provoking Joshu until he breaks down and fires at the target several times, yelling. At that moment, a large number of zombies appear, drawn by the gunshots, and they're shocked. They run back to the house, get inside, and Francis locks the door behind them. The zombies are outside, surrounding them in large numbers. Suddenly they hear a car on the road, which distracts the zombies and lures them away. The next day, Francis goes to the lake near the farm and finds his brother Diego sitting by the car. Francis asks him why he's here. Diego tells him his wife and little daughter got infected and turned into zombies, so he decided to check on their parents before heading to the camp in the north. He tells him he found them yesterday trapped in the house by zombies, so he made noise with the car to lure the zombies away. Francis tells him their parents are dead, and that he's living there now with his family and doesn't need Diego's help. Diego apologizes for betraying him with his wife, says it happened a long time ago, and Francis should forget it. He goes on to say he wants to protect him and his family, and that they should go together to the camp in the north. Francis gets angry, points the pistol at him, and tells him to stay away from his family and leave. Diego understands, gets in his car, but before leaving he takes out a map and leaves it on the ground in case Francis changes his mind and decides to go to the camp. Diego drives away. Francis picks up the map, wants to burn it, but changes his mind and decides to keep it. He goes back home and lies to his wife, telling her Diego turned into a zombie and died. After that, Francis adds more fortifications to the house, boarding up the windows with wood. His family isn't happy about what he's doing. Later, Lucas goes down to the basement to see what's going on and sees a zombie through the window. His mother appears behind him, reassures him, and tells him not to be scared because the zombies look weak now. We see that Francis overhears her, so he goes out to the farm to look for that zombie. He finds that the zombie is indeed so weak it can't even attack him, so Francis stabs it with a knife, cuts off its head, and calls out loudly for his wife. He returns home, holding the zombie's head in his hand, which shocks his children. Iris asks him what he's doing, and Francis, agitated, tells her that zombies are everywhere, they're extremely dangerous, and they must stay in the house to stay safe. Iris looks at him strangely and goes inside. We realize Francis did this to make them believe there's a huge danger outside and convince them to stay in the house. After that, Francis takes off his clothes and goes to shower. He hears a noise in the room, comes out, and finds Joshu there. Joshu says he was looking for Lucas and leaves the room, but it's clear he noticed the map. That night, Francis throws a Christmas celebration at home, sits with them at the table, and tries to create a festive atmosphere for his family. He asks them what they wish for Christmas. Joshu says he wishes for a map like the one he saw in Francis's room. Iris looks at Francis and asks what map he's talking about. Francis lies and says he doesn't have any maps, but it's clear they don't believe him. He asks Lucas what he wishes for, and Francis says he wishes he had another son and thinks it's time for that. Iris is surprised that he wants to have another child while the world is collapsing from the outbreak. She tells him she doesn't want to keep living in this house, doesn't see it as normal, and wishes they could leave. She insists they can't keep living like this. The food's bad, everything is awful, and the zombies outside look weak, not as strong as before, and there's no reason stopping them from taking the car and going to the camp in the north. But Francis objects, saying no one but him can protect the kids, that they're safe here because of him, and they'll stay in the house. Out of despair, Iris suggests he let her go out herself to look for food and come back, but Francis says he doesn't trust that she'll return, and speaking openly in front of the children, says their mother wanted to leave them before the outbreak. The kids both look at her and ask if it's true. Iris admits, crying, that she wasn't happy with their father and was very tired of their relationship. Francis gets angry and tells the kids that's not the real reason, that the real reason is she wanted to leave them and go to his brother Diego, whom she was cheating with. Iris breaks down and yells at him, saying she wants to leave him because their relationship has become toxic, and asks him to give them the map and let them go. Francis takes out the map and burns it in front of them. Iris tries to stop him but can't, so she slaps him out of anger and leaves. Afterwards, Francis sits with his kids and orders them to finish eating. The next day, while in the farm, Francis hears a noise from afar, returns home, locks the door with an iron lock, and tells them there are a lot of zombies outside. Joshua objects, saying he's lying because they haven't seen zombies outside in a while, and accuses him of leaving the car on the bridge and burning the map to keep them trapped with him in the house, just like his father used to lock him in the basement when he was a kid. Francis gets angry, hits Joshua, and agitated, says he did everything for them and that they'll stay in the house and won't leave. At that moment, they hear someone knocking on the door, saying from outside that he's a soldier and begging them for water. Francis refuses to open the door, threatens him, and says he has a pistol and will shoot after counting to 3. But Iris opens the door and the soldier comes in. The soldier assures them he's vaccinated and hasn't been infected, tells them he's from the northern camp and that it's half a day's journey from here. They're now sure the camp exists, just as they heard. The soldier continues, saying he was on a mission outside the camp with his colleagues, but zombies attacked them on the way back, and he was the only survivor. He tells them a man named Diego helped him and told him to go to the house. At that moment, Iris looks at Francis and tells him he's a liar because he said Diego was dead. Francis orders her to stay away from the soldier, but she refuses and insists on helping him. So Francis is forced to agree, but only on one condition. He takes the soldier to the basement and locks the door to make sure he's not infected and won't turn into a zombie. Later that night, Joshua wakes his mother up and tells her he's decided to leave the house, that he has to do it instead of staying because he feels his father doesn't love him and doesn't want him. Iris hugs him and tries to comfort him while he cries, and Joshua tells her he knows Francis isn't his real father, that his real father is his uncle Diego. He says they need to get away from Francis because he's not a good person, but Iris tells him she can't leave his little brother Lucas behind. Joshua says goodbye to her before he leaves the house. Then we see Francis waking up from sleep, stressed after another nightmare, and he discovers that Iris let the soldier out of the basement. He asks her where Joshua is, but she doesn't answer, so he goes to look for Joshua in the house and finds the door open. He realizes Joshua ran away and left. Francis comes back holding the hammer, and without warning, he hits the soldier with the hammer and kills him. Iris and Lucas are shocked by what he did, and Francis goes over to them and says he won't let her leave like her son did. Then he hits her and she passes out. When Iris wakes up, she finds herself locked up with her son Lucas in the basement, the door shut tight. Meanwhile, Francis is drinking and having breakfast in front of the dead soldier. He hears a dog barking outside, sees it through the window, and it's like he gets an idea. He opens the basement door and goes down to Iris and Lucas with some grilled food, sits and eats, and offers them some. Iris asks him where he got the grilled food from, refusing to let Lucas eat any. Francis gets angry and throws the food on the floor, then starts picking it up. Iris notices a small knife on the ground and tries to sneak over to grab it, but before she can, Francis looks at her, so she stops and pretends she's okay with staying in the house. She gets closer to him to trick him so he won't notice the knife, but Francis tells her he doesn't trust her, pushes her away, takes the knife from the floor, and leaves, locking the door behind him. Iris breaks down in frustration and starts screaming in anger. That night, Francis wakes up to Lucas screaming and in pain in the basement. Francis rushes down to check on him, but it turns out it was a trick by Iris and Lucas. Iris comes up from behind and stabs Francis in the back with the knife. She grabs the keys from him, takes Lucas, and they escape from the basement, locking Francis inside. Francis gets furious, firing his pistol at the door until he runs out of bullets. Then he starts hallucinating, thinking his father is in front of him, about to beat him like he did when he was a child. Francis screams and looks terrified, like he's lost his mind. Meanwhile, Iris and Lucas are quickly gathering the things they need. Iris goes to the door, unlocks the chain, and they get out, but they're shocked to see a zombie in front of the house eating a corpse. The zombie turns out to be Diego, Francis's brother. They run back inside the house, but Diego follows them in. They race up the stairs, but Diego catches up, grabs Iris's leg, and tries to bite her. Iris protects herself with her medical bag, stopping him from biting her. Lucas gets scared for his mom, comes closer, and yells at Diego. Diego sees him, lets go of Iris, and attacks Lucas instead. Iris gets up and hits Diego, so he lets go of Lucas and tries to bite Iris, but she grabs a chair and tries to keep him away. At that moment, Francis manages to break out of the basement, comes out, and hits Diego with the butt of his pistol, beating him over the head like a madman. Then he stops stops and asks Iris if she was the one who let Diego into the house. Iris, terrified, says she didn't. Francis accuses her of ruining the family by betraying him and wanting to leave him. Right before he hits her, they hear their son Lucas calling for his mother. They're shocked when they see Lucas's hand. He was bitten by Diego during the attack. Iris rushes to help him and asks Francis for help, but Francis refuses, sitting in place, scared like a child, unable to do anything. Iris decides to use her medical supplies to amputate Lucas's arm before the infection spreads. Lucas screams in pain, but she has to do it to save his life. She wraps bandages around the stump to stop the bleeding. Francis hears her shouting at him, saying they need to take their son to the hospital and need a car. At that moment, Francis comes to his senses, quickly gets up, and leaves the house to head for the bridge. He gets to the bridge and finds the car there, but Joshua is there too, holding a rifle. Joshua thinks his father has turned into a zombie because of all the blood on him, panics, and shoots at him. Then he comes closer, and when he realizes Francis wasn't infected, he breaks down and apologizes while watching his father die in front of him. After that, Joshua gets in the car, crying, and heads back to the house. Back at the house, Iris and Lucas are waiting. Iris sees the car's headlights approaching from outside, and that's where the film ends.